you just purchased Sancho. He was introduced when yesterday?
Was it? Damn, I'm missing out.
Yeah. I think he was introduced like this week or something. I could be wrong. I
Okay.
think you guys played today also against. There was a game today against Queens Park Rangers. I believe you guys lost, if I'm not mistaken. It's not to put in. I could be wrong.
Uh,
How do you feel about Central coming to your team? Like, do you feel like it's a plus for you?
I mean, so for me, like specifically, like my hype kind of died down for Sancho. So I felt encouraged by the limited action that I saw from him in the Euros because I think he played pretty well for the limited time that he was on the field. Um, I think he really struggled last season for the first part, like most people tells me, and like the second half of the season, like he turned it back on. But so I'm a little skeptical because it's a high price tag. But then again, he's young. My only issue is the fact that after we moved on from Sancho last year because we couldn't sign him, because we couldn't agree on a fee with Borussia, is the fact that we have like three other wingers. You get what I mean? We have Amad
Yeah.
Diallo, we have Facundo Pelestri, we have Mason Greenwood that thrives out wide, but it seems to me that clearly they're probably going to try to transition him into a full-time striker, which I don't know if it's the best move for him, but hopefully Cavani could actually, work with them a little bit more and, he gets a better feel for the game because he has both legs, so he has great instincts to score. So hopefully he can make that happen. But for right now, my expectations is like right here for
You're
Sancho.
like, I don't know about
Yeah,
you
yeah.
yet.
Like it's such a high price tag. But the thing is that like he has flair. He has great technical ability, so that's a plus. Because
Mhm.
outside of Pogba and Bruno Fernandes, I don't think there's no disrespect to like, Marcus Rashford and those guys like Mason Greenwood, but sometimes they lacked, that finishing touch, that football intelligence, I feel like, to take you over the edge. Like so
Yeah.
um I'm right here right now. I'm right here. So
Okay.
we'll see what happens with other recruitments.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah.
personally think it's a great acquisition. I feel like Sancho should have been a Man United, should have been in Man United since last year, and I feel like he wants to be there. So I feel like he wants to take that challenge, and I feel like that is gonna take his career to the next step. And it's the pace, the quality. It's gonna help. It's gonna help. Like
I hope
it's
so.
well needed. Like you said, maybe Greenwood has a flair for scoring and shooting. He likes shooting, so I feel like moving him closer to the goal, if possible, would be a good solution for him. That which would be a great thing for Greenwood. Greenwood. But Sancho he's I think he's gonna do well.
I hope so, man. I
Um,
hope so.
yeah,
The other
and
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you could go.
The other kid I'm like kind of sad about is Amad Diallo, man, because I really think that kid is like he's great. Like so, I don't know how
He's
many.
gonna have to wait.
Yeah, I don't know how many minutes he's gonna get now, but it's gonna suck. Even though Mata re-signed for another year, he's on his way out, so he's a great person in the locker room and mentor. Like a great veteran, so maybe Amad Diallo could be sitting on the bench and get those Mata minutes, but it's not like Mata really played that much anyways, unless he was playing in the Carabao Cup. So yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting season, man. I can't wait to see what happens next for the team because I do think we need another midfielder.
I think they're gonna throw him that in those competition like the Carabao Cup, and I feel like you said, you might need another midfielder. I'm not sure if it's a defensive midfielder that you're looking for, or what kind of midfielder you think you're looking. I think Manchester United needs a defensive midfielder.
No, for sure we do. Because McTominay is is good. He's solid, but even everyone always says that he's a central attacking
Central,
midfielder
yeah.
that was transitioned, that was transformed into like a box to box type of central midfielder. Like, that's not his natural position. He's played well at it, but that's not his, because he works hard. He has great work ethic. Same thing for Fred. Fred will run all over the pitch. Like, I appreciate his efforts and, like, the energy that he puts out on the field, but he's not a great smart defender, unfortunately. Like, he does terrible tackles, he loses passes, he can't hold the ball. So that's why I'm kind of excited about, the rumors of Ruben Neves potentially switching from Wolves to Manchester United, because I think that would be such a great addition to the team. I don't know if he's like, because he's very small. So as far as like a holding midfielder, I don't think that's it. Fred is small too, so there's that. But I think I'm very encouraged by what Maguire has done in the Euros. So I think
Played a well Euro.
yeah, I think he's starting to elevate his game a little bit more, where I probably won't call him like stupid anymore in the future. But yeah, man, like, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of seeing from certain players that are encouraging. Marcus Rashford, his shoulder surgery, like, I don't even know why you went to the Euros at this point if you knew that you had to get the surgery and maybe have a extended layoff until October. If you're that injured that you need surgery, like, just sit out and don't go play. Like, especially for somebody that wasn't getting in that many minutes, you could have given that slot and that opportunity to somebody else. So, yeah, but I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited, man.
Are you excited for a possibility of a partnership of Maguire and Varane?
I am, because anything is an upgrade over Lindelof and
Lindelof?
Lindelof right now. And I'm a big Bailly fan. I think Bailly is one of our best defenders at the club. I don't care what anybody else says, but he's always injured, unfortunately, man. He's
Yeah.
always injured, so that doesn't work for us. Yeah, so we need an upgrade, man. We need an upgrade to push us over the top, because Manchester City's here and they're here to stay, man. And they're looking like they're about to rack up at least 90 points next season. So we have to be able to compete with that. And as far as,
You're gonna have you need a
yeah,
good defense.
exactly. We need a good defense, and we need the ability to score goals. And we figured out how to score goals last year, but against lesser teams that don't really play like an open style, we struggled. Like, we struggled versus Crystal Palace. We struggled versus West Ham. Not West Ham. Fulham. Teams that they're like very low tier clubs, and we struggled against them because when they do those low blocks and they only attack with like three, four players, like, it was tough for us to break them down. So yeah, so I think that's where Sancho's addition will probably shine a little bit, and I'm excited for that.
Perfect. Moving to while we're talking about like new teams. I mean, not new teams, new players coming into the teams. PSG has added, I believe, 4 players so far. They added the goalkeeper Donnarumma. They added Wijnaldum. They added Hakimi. They added Sergio Ramos. They're in talk. They're talking with what's this guy name again? They're talking with why is the name?
Spanish
I'll
boy.
go. I'll get back to it. Yeah, I'll get back to it. But those acquisitions already like good acquisition. And what is that? Would that be enough for PSG for you moving and finally winning the Champions League?
I think so, in my opinion. I really like, on paper, what that team has to offer. I really like it, man. Like, when I'm looking at the attacking potential of like an Hakimi, and I kind of remember what Dani Alves was able to do for them, even to a lesser extent what Florenzi did for them last season in certain games. And I'm looking at the midfield of a potential, like, Verratti only plays like 60 minutes now, so I'm not expecting him to play like a full season or like full-time minutes, but Gigi and Marquinhos, who a lot of us are expecting him maybe to move back into midfield, so that there's a partnership of Ramos and Kipembe in the back. So we'll see what what's his name again? The
Pochettino?
manager. Yeah, what Pochettino does with that with that team. I don't think he's inclined to move Marquinhos into the midfield, but it's just that I'm seeing, and the leadership of Ramos and his experience and his intensity and his like will to win. Like, we've seen it happen in the Champions League finals with Atletico Madrid, where this guy just wouldn't let his team lose, man, and like scores a header in the 93rd minute to send it to extra time, and we know what happened afterwards. But like every year, like, I talk smack about PSG, and they seem to be getting a little bit better. And Mbappe, if we think that he is what he's supposed to become, he's going to get better. So I'm thinking that what they've done this offseason so far will catapult them into that final contention. And it depends on who they're going to face in the finals this time around, but I think they have the assets now to actually compete with the best of them in Europe.
I don't think Pochettino should move Marquinhos to the midfield like the way Thomas Tuchel used to do with adding Marquinhos to the defensive midfield. I feel like Marquinhos is at his best when he plays his position as a center back. And if you're playing two center backs, I think Marquinhos has to start. Out of the three defenders right now, he's the better defender. And Ramos, what I think Ramos is gonna bring, like I said, is leadership, experience, and another addition to the center backs. Either they play three at the back, or certain games one of them is gonna be on the bench for rest, injuries, stuff is gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I feel like all of these guys are gonna get their minutes. But if they're going with two in the back, I think that I'm gonna see Marquinhos and Kimpembe. But if they want to add Ramos to the lineup right away, I feel like Ramos is not going to start right away. I feel like they're going to introduce him to that, and maybe three at some point.
I could see three as well.
Certain games, maybe three, certain games not.
I could see three as well. Like, what Hakimi playing a higher role with Bernat and on the left-hand side as well. Maybe have a midfield of just Gigi and Verratti, or Gigi and Gay.
Or Paredes.
Yeah, or Paredes.
I feel like one of these guys has to be sold.
Yeah, like probably.
Paredes, Idrissa. They have so many midfielders at that moment. Rafinha still here?
I'm not sure, but I would say yes. I would think so.
They have the Portuguese, the defensive midfield Portuguese, so they can move that shape in the midfield. They have different kind of players they can put together in the midfield.
Yep.
And yeah.
And then we're gonna see, like, the Mbappe, Neymar, Icardi trio up front. If Icardi starts, yeah.
But since they don't have a striker at the moment, maybe they're gonna keep him. But sometimes, like different lineups, they don't even play with a striker. Even last year, sometimes they didn't even play with Icardi or Moise Kean.
Yeah, we're gonna see. Now,
gonna change. So. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna bring him back, but yeah, they told him, "We'll let you know." They said, "We'll let you know if we need you back." So what can we?
Yeah, moving on to.
Yeah, we while we're like talking about PSG, we can go back to a fellow guy that used to play for Lyon, of Memphis Depay, who's playing with Barcelona right now. He played his first game today as well.
Scored a penalty.
And Barcelona has they have. We're gonna talk about Messi, but I was imagining the front three right now. Before we go to Messi's contract, who do you see as the front three? Because they have options. If let's say they don't sell Griezmann, because I know there was a rumor, an exchange with Griezmann and Saul Niguez.
Yeah, that I don't think that's
Atletico Madrid.
happening. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's gonna still happen, but what would you see what was the front three for Barcelona?
Um, it depends on how Koeman wants to play, but it seems that Koeman is more of a well, it's not like he plays three at the back, but he plays like with the elevated like wing backs and like maybe like a two-pronged attack, like instead of having like a three a front three, like the old Neymar, Suarez, and Messi. I think they kind of figured it out when Dembele started playing up front, even though like his scoring instincts aren't there, but I think he can get there. I like Dembele a lot as a player. So I don't know if it's going to be a front three. That's my thing. So I'm kind of looking if he does go to a front three, I'm assuming that it's going to be Dembele, Messi, and Depay, where he's going to play Depay as a number 9 or as a false number 9 up front, and it's going to be him that's going to be leading that attack as like a Suarez, maybe, like not as big, but great technical ability. He has a great shot, shoots with both feet pretty well. So that's what I'm assuming that it's going to be. But if Griezmann stays, which it's looking more and more likely because nobody wants to pay those wages and nobody has the type of money to actually pay up front for him, like right now. Only certain clubs do. I think Griezmann is going to still be on the bench, man. I think they're gonna put him on the bench, and because Koeman is Dutch, I think Depay is gonna get that nod and he's gonna start.
And they still got Aguero on the bench also.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to discuss also the front three. I want to say Messi, Griezmann, and Depay.
No Dembele.
The reason why I would put Dembele because Dembele would be more dangerous than Griezmann. But I don't feel like Dembele is gonna. The reason why I'm not even say Dembele is because he's always injury prone.
Right.
And wow, we also forgetting about Ansu Fati.
Yeah, he's coming back too, but he's
coming back.
Young. He's young,
but that would be my
a bad injury. Mm-hmm. Okay, which
might not work.
Interesting thought.
Because
that's an interesting thought. Yeah, so the Messi contract situation thing.
Yeah,
it's interesting because now we're seeing all those reports saying that. Okay, not only that, we got the report last week that Messi's staying in Barcelona and extended for 5 years, which shocked me because Messi's 33 years old now, so that would take him to 38 years old. Not to say he's not
34, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so it would take him 30, 38, 39 years old. That just shocked me because I was like, bro, damn, like, like
it's like the Devin Booker, damn, like, damn.
Yeah, it's like, can people live, man? Like, can the club just move on at some point? Like, I mean, he's still so important to the club. I understand that, but I'm just at the point where I was like, okay, I want to see what he's like in 2 years, to fully commit to the idea that, okay, Messi can play until he's 30, 39 years old potentially, without letting the club breathe and start breathing new life into the team and rebuild the squad around somebody else. Because as long as Messi's here, and even though he said that he's not really too fond of their transfer policies, he feels like the team needs to go younger and surround him with younger players, which to a certain extent they have, but they bring in those younger players to play around you. Like, you get what I mean? They're not like, Griezmann came into the team even though he's not younger. It's not, all right, let's figure out a way to make Griezmann play up to his potential because you're on your way out the door. So if we have to, reconfigure the team, it's going to be around him, not around a 34-year-old, declining, well, not declining, but, on his way out the door, superstar. So, but now we hear those new rumors that saying that, okay, if Barcelona can't balance out their books, then Messi, be due to financial fair play, he might have to wait until January to actually play for Barcelona, which happened with another player in 2014 for Getafe, I think, called Pedro Leon. He had to sit for 6 months until January after he signed his contract to play because of, financial fair play rules. That was when Getafe, had just gotten a new owner and they were just spending millions on a whole bunch of players that turned out to be nobodies. So Griezmann, we, like you just said, there's the potential swap with Saul Niguez so that he could go back to Atletico Madrid. The only way that happens if Barcelona agrees to actually pay some of his wages, which I think they've already been doing with Luis Suarez, which again is insane. Nobody wants to pay for Coutinho, and they're saying that they don't want to lose as much money over the $100 million investment that they had already made on Coutinho. Nobody's gonna pay like upwards to $40 million for this guy. Like, I don't even think you get $40 million for him. Yeah, go ahead.
It's really difficult. Like, I was just gonna add, it's really difficult when you're looking at a team pay this much for a player that I wouldn't say he's not great anymore. He's not good, but the position he plays, people have moved on to that position.
Yeah.
Like Coutinho's position. Like, it's hard for pay a guy like that, but people don't really. What club you think he could play? Like Coutinho.
That is the problem. Like, if you're looking at
the Serie A.
Exactly. If you're looking at the price tag that they paid for him, you're only looking at top clubs that that would have to come for a player of that price tag. You're talking.
And you don't really need him.
Exactly. You're talking about Inter, Juve. You're talking about PSG.
Like, they don't want to pay $40 million for these guys. Like, they're already in financial crisis. I'm not gonna spend $40 million on Coutinho.
Exactly. You have Miralem Pjanic, who they've already told that, like, yo, dude, you have no future at the club. But he's adamant about not losing not a dime off his wages. So just like Gareth Bale did at some point in Real Madrid, I think he's absolutely content with just chilling at home in Spain playing golf and collecting his paychecks, because he's like, yo, if y'all gonna move me, you guys are gonna move me to a club that are gonna pay my wages. Like, and I'm not interested in that. Like, it's not like the NBA where, well, in some ways, like, it's like the NBA because you could do player swaps, and that's completely fine. Like, as long as both club agrees. But for a transfer, like when a club is coming in to pay for a player, the player has to agree to personal terms. So he has to agree to cut his wages. And if he's not agreeing to cut his wages, there's nothing that you could do about it. Like, you got to eat that. So he's going to sit there content, like, just collecting his paychecks until you figure out a way to move him. Umtiti is the same thing. And they've already spoken to Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, and Sergio Roberto and cutting their wages. And all three players said, nah, not having it.
Umtiti said, you guys are not going to get me out of here. Not like that.
So it's just interesting in the climate that we are after we came back from, well, we're still in the pandemic, but, stadiums have opened up again, like, allowing fans to come in. It's not everywhere, but, a lot of places have. But most clubs, most football clubs in the world are in financial crisis, and they can't afford to pay, exorbitant fees for those players. Like, you gotta get, like, especially in Spain, man, like, where we always hear the news, like, in Spain, about how the country is, like, in a financial crisis. So it's not like you could actually go to the bank and just, like, ask for these huge loans to actually go pay for football players again, man. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I'm going to be actually paying attention to this for the next few weeks to see what actually happens, because that's going to be absolutely hilarious to me to see if Messi's going to just sit down for 6 months and not play until January. And I'll be very interested to see what happens to the club at that point, if they're able to actually play without Messi. And that'd
I
be
don't imagine
interesting.
seeing that. I think they're gonna find a solution.
Yeah. If they're going to massage the
Yeah.
rules for them, which they have in the past, like, so that they could let Messi play, because I think the closer it gets, and the Spanish Federation for, like, La Liga, I know they know what Messi brings to them as far as, like, TV
Yeah,
value.
you can't have him. Can't have him on the
So
bench.
we're gonna
Especially
see.
TV values in Spain has gone a little bit down as well, and the Spanish league is not generating as much income like they used before. I mean, like they used to do before.
Yeah.
But having Messi on the bench for 6 months, that's crazy. Like, close La Liga. We'll be back in January. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
Yeah.
What else did
Yeah.
you have?
Oh yeah. We that was a good one.
Or
But
did you have a point, like, did you have a point to make on that subject as well, man?
I mean, I didn't have a point. I saw that they were having difficulties financing that contract. But in the back of my head, I always said, the closer they're gonna get, something is gonna happen. They're gonna balance something out of the blue. Like, okay, like Messi's back. I know something's gonna happen, but I don't imagine seeing that Messi not playing. So I know he's gonna play. I know, like, Barcelona's gonna find a way to either sell a player, or I don't know how they're gonna do it, but it's gonna happen. He's gonna
Yeah.
play. They're gonna have to finance that thing.
5 years.
I mean, to be honest, Mike, you're looking at the team. The best player is Messi, and then if you do like a future analyzation about the future, who they're gonna still, like, they're gonna still add a couple of young players like they did with Frankie De Haan, Pedri, who had a amazing Euro. He's somewhere around the Olympics, like, sad. He doesn't even want to play anymore, but he's so talented. They'd be like, "You're gonna be playing,"
Yeah.
They're adding a couple pieces. You know what position they haven't added yet? It's the defense. I know they did add Eric Garcia, but I need to see him now in the highest level starting, if he's gonna start.
Yeah, and
They
even
haven't
with
had a.
No, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know yet how I feel about Des. I know Des is still young, so that's a acquisition that they made for the future. But in the end of the day, it's still gonna, in 2 years, it's still gonna be Messi's team. The way Griezmann came to the team, you cannot really construct around him. I see him leaving at some point, but it's still gonna be Messi's team. It's gonna be 36 Messi's. It's still gonna be Messi's team.
But that's my thing, though. How smart is that? You get what I mean? Like, how smart is that?
Financially, yeah, it's gonna choke you. It's gonna choke you, but they're willing to do it.
I'm not even thinking about the financial aspect. I'm just thinking about, like, from a team standpoint. It's like, how far can this guy, get you at this point if you keep, rebuilding around him at that age.
Yeah,
At that age. You get what I mean? That's I don't want to say that's one of the main reasons why Florentino Perez, like, was so, disrespectful and disparaging towards, our great, our great, towards Cristiano Ronaldo, and which he moved to the Serie A, which I think is more beneficial for him in his career, because the Serie A is just a different competition, and we kind of see, like, how older players just usually thrive in there. But it was just one of those things too. It's like, dude, like, Cristiano Ronaldo figured out how to reinvent himself and move into those, like, more forward roles where he's not on the wing taking on players all the time. Like, he has great instincts and stuff like that. So, Messi is a guy that, and I'm not going to say that, older players haven't done it. We've seen Del Piero do it. We've seen Francesco Totti do it. But again, those are players that, they've done in La Liga, and then, I'm saying La Liga, and in the Calcio in Italy. And then they took some of their talents into Europe, into the UCL and stuff like that. So Messi is one of a kind. We all know that. So I'm just interested to see how, 2 years from now, even this year, for to a certain extent, I want to see how he performs, and then go into next year to see, like, if this works out for them.
I think when we look at Cristiano Ronaldo, who's 36, and who's still able to score goals, he realized like he can't run the way he ran before, like in the wings, because he's getting older. So yeah, he reinvented himself, but he's still able to score because he still got that quality to score. I feel like if Ronaldo can do this at 36, like still score, but the thing is that I wouldn't say only his team, but Cristiano Ronaldo is not going to be in the Ballon d'Or list anymore.
No,
I'm not sure if it's because he left Real Madrid, he went to a team that has less quality, or also because his game has changed, is not as more entertaining as it was before. Like scoring goals anywhere, like from far away with power, but he's still able to score a lot of goals. Like
yeah,
he scored a lot of goals because he's still able to be that guy for his team.
For sure.
His team has to get a little bit better. I think Messi is gonna be fine at 36. Like, okay. It shouldn't be all Messi at that age because he has done too much. He's done. Like, he has nothing to prove anymore. And at 36, I think he's gonna be okay. I don't know if his position is gonna change, but even if he changes position to score, we know Messi can score 20 goals like Ronaldo. Like, it's gonna be easy for him. And I think at 36, it's still gonna be easy for him to score.
Okay.
So I think it's gonna be fine, but I'm just a little bit worried about the financial aspect. That's the only thing, because if it's still in crisis, I don't know what they're gonna try to, like, how fast they can rebuild that team. Yeah.
They said he took a wage cut. I wonder how much it is, from 600 million to 300 million.
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the contract yet, but I would imagine it would be a good, like a major cut, because in the end of the day, it's Messi. Like,
I can't wait to see those numbers 5 years from now when they leak.
Oh yeah, they're gonna leak it after. While we're talking about leak, let's go to the Perez leak that you were talking about. The journalist Jose Antonio Abelán, he's a journalist in El Confidencial. He's the one who leaked it. Perez is gonna go after him apparently.
I would.
He's gonna sue them. He knew that was gonna happen. He knew that was gonna happen. And let's start with. Hold on, let me see which one I can start with, Mike. To Figo. He said Figo came and became close with Raul, and those two, along with Hierro, managed the squad. Poor Vicente Del Bosque. He wasn't doing anything. He probably had a glass of wine, and he was talking so much smack to Iker Casillas. He said, Iker Casillas have been a great failure. We've had, well, one of the great scams, and the second one is Raul. Two great Real Madrid scams. That was 2006. He said it. And Figo, they asked Figo the question in the Clásico they were doing last week.
Yeah.
When Aldinho was there, Roberto Carlos. Who else was there? Deco was there. He said, I think that in private conversation, you can say things that are taken out of context. That's Figo who's saying that to the reporter. I have the opportunity to speak with him talking about Perez, and he said he apologized, and it's a closed matter. What do you think about that in the future moving forward? Do you think that's going to stop players from coming in because the image of Perez has been portrayed like as this person, or it doesn't matter? Money's going to talk.
I think so. As long as he's there, maybe. But I think, like, even as a huge figure as Perez has been for Real Madrid, I think the club overall is just bigger than him. You get what I mean? I think, like, players' ambitions, they're just gonna look at, like, No, I want to play for the badge. I want to play for Real Madrid. I want to play for the club of Real Madrid. I'm not going there to play for Florentino Perez, even though like he has his hand on pretty much everything, Real Madrid at the moment. So yeah, it could tarnish it could tarnish the club's rep and make it more difficult to actually acquire players because at the end of the day, like he's the guy, like he's cutting the checks, you know what I mean, for the most part. So yeah, players might have a little pause when they're thinking about like when he calls, when he comes
Mhm.
calling and it's like, hey, I want you to be a Real Madrid player. So
He's like, "Are you gonna talk shit to me? Are you gonna talk shit about me in 10 years?"
yeah, right. But the other point that's interesting is that these things are coming out, and we're gonna speak about another one that's happened with Rachel Nichols.
Oh yeah.
It's just now where you're in these positions, even though that he was speaking to a reporter, so even though like you always have to be wary of those
Yeah.
things that where
Those reporters are.
yeah, you
They
say,
got that recording thing on the back of their.
yeah, man, like you say like, yo, this is off the record. Like just the same thing for Rachel Nichols in that leak. I don't know if she's taking actions on her end, but it's just like, where people's like, okay, this is locker room talk. It's like, it's just me and you kicking it. There's no mics in front of us. There's no camera, there's no video, and we're just talking smack about about somebody and like how we feel about them. Because when we're looking at it from a human aspect, everybody feels some type of way about
Everyone
everybody.
talks smack. Yeah.
Everybody feels some type, like no matter how good of friend, like no matter how good of a friend you are to somebody, like that could be my brother, but there's some criticism that I have against him. Like it might not be big, and like it's something that I might tell him all the time too, that he knows I know about him, or that I know he
We
knows
got to
about
vent
me.
about it. Yeah.
Exactly. Like like there could be a whole multitude of things. Like you could be like, you know what, Mike? You know what, Wetz? You curse too much, man. I hate that about you. It's like, I know that. I know that. I know that. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that like we all criticize each other to a certain extent, but it's all love at the end of the day. Like we
Yeah.
love each other, but we have those things that gets on our nerves. And it might be one of those things with Florentino Perez that he's thinking that, all right, it might be taken out of context a little bit too much. Not to say that he doesn't feel that way about certain players just to shoot them some bail, because later on throughout their careers, Casillas to a lesser extent, but I felt like Raul to a larger extent. It was like, dude, get him the hell away from the club. Like this dude sucks, man. Like that's how I felt as a fan. You get what I mean? So that's how I felt as a fan. But he's a club legend, though. He's a club
Yeah.
legend. He,
He's a club legend.
So it's just funny to me that those things are happening where you have to be cautious of what you say to any
Yeah.
person at any given time, because somebody might be recording you at some point and they might leak it into the future and make you look like,
Yep.
you're a
You're
terrible
that
person.
person.
Yeah.
I think it has a tie with the Super Cup he wanted to do. Maybe they want to
Yeah.
get back to him,
Yep.
But he's gonna take legal actions. Yeah.
As he should,
Yeah.
because if he goes into that meeting, or like if he's sitting down at home, whatever it is, and they're like, yo, this is off the record, and he's like, yo, tell me how you really feel about the Galacticos era, and like Del Bosque, Luis Figo, and like they're drinking wine. He's like, man,
Yeah. He'd be like off record. You say.
it's like
Open.
it's like,
Yeah.
man, Figo, scumbag. It's like, David Beckham. I don't even know why I signed him. He don't even play soccer that well. Like, you get what I mean? Like, he could have said a whole bunch of things that
Yeah.
you know.
Rahul, he couldn't even sell a million. Like, he couldn't even sell that 1 million.
So yeah, man, it's just interesting though. It's
Yeah.
just interesting.
That
Like
was
he should
funny
take
when I was watching it. Yeah.
he should take legal
Yeah.
action though.
He's gonna. That's what I saw. Like this, he said he's gonna take legal action because he said it was off record. Um, yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the NBA. 50-piece Nuggets, 50-piece Giannis.
Yeah,
Your guy, your team. You were talking about that team for so long. You
the
kind of gave
king.
up on them at some point, which I
I did,
understood.
man. I did,
But
man.
they took you by surprise, man. Like, um,
Yeah.
before we get into that dynasty question that you wanted to ask, I just wanna let's go revisit the final.
Mm.
What did the Bucks do to win that championship? And it could be either what kind of tactic they stopped um the Suns, or what was the Suns not doing well that worked for them when they were before the finals.
All right. So for me, I want to say that I'm not going to take away credit from the Bucks, even though it's probably going to sound like I'm taking credit away from the Bucks, right? I think what's very impressive about what the Bucks have done throughout this playoff run is that they continuously got better throughout every series. Um, Especially Chris Middleton. Like he just like dude is like I want to see how he comes back next year. Because honestly, like if I'm Chris Middleton now, I'm going to this USA basketball camp and I'm telling KD like, nah, man, this my team. Like like I
Nah,
just want to chip.
he can't say
Nah,
that. Can
yo,
you be like,
he
he don't even
definitely is.
have service.
Definitely is. But the amount of the amount of confidence that he started playing with and how much better he got progressively every game, because the shots that Chris Middleton were taking, they're so infuriating to watch, but you kind of just see that Coach Budenholzer just gives him the license to shoot whatever shot that he wants.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants. Like you can
One of
shoot
the
wherever.
last shot that he took, I think it was like around 40 seconds or something.
Yeah.
That was a it was
Fade
kind of he was
away.
kind of lean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Late.
like I was like that's
Lean
they
away,
probably like, yo,
fade
you could
away
you
away
could
from the
take it.
basket. Yeah, like he has license to shoot wherever, however, whenever he wants. But what I want to focus on is the Suns. I think if you look at the series from the first round, second round, and third round for the Phoenix Suns, what really makes them dangerous, even though a lot of experts will tell you, look, the Suns got extremely lucky to be there. And yes, they got extremely lucky to be there because they didn't play any superstars from any team. Like, the first round team that they played, AD injured. Second round, no Jamal Murray. Third round, no Kawhi Leonard in the conference finals. So yeah, they got extremely lucky, but you got to play the people. You got to play the team that's in front of you. That's not their fault. What I think made them a real threat was their balance, and is their balance scoring. And I think once they got into the finals, they really got away from that. It really became a Chris Paul and Devin Booker show. They didn't really try to establish DeAndre Ayton too much. Bridges really didn't get as many shots. The one game he played really well and shot really well. And Jay Crowder really didn't get as many shots as well. So
Was the player the name is kind of fading away. He has afro.
uh
What's his name
uh
again?
Cam um Cameron Johnson,
Yeah, we didn't see too much of him.
he knocked down a few threes in the finals, but he plays limited minutes anyways.
Okay.
Cameron Payne played really well, but I think they just really got away from that balance, and it really became a let like we need Chris Paul and Devin Booker to take us home. And when you go away from your bread and butter and what got you there, like no disrespect to how talented both of these players are, but that's not what got you there. You get what I mean? That's not what got you to the finals. So the more I was watching them like loss after loss, and they still, you know, I'm not seeing the balance scoring from them. It's Devin Booker taking 25 shots, Chris Paul taking 16, 20 shots, DA only having 6 or 8 shots, Bridges only having 7, 8 shots. You get what I mean? Like it just became more clear to me that, all right, these guys are really banking on Chris Paul and Devin
And
Booker
Devin Booker.
to actually seal this deal when that is not their team. That is not their identity. And I was super ecstatic Giannis won, man. You know, I was set on the idea that Chris Paul was finally going to win his first championship. You know, after all these years of being in the league. Giannis is only 26 years old. He's gonna have another opportunity somewhere down in the future to get there. Like he potentially has at least 10 more seasons in the NBA. So he's gonna have a window at some point.
He's gonna have multiple opportunities.
You know, he's gonna have a window at some point. KD ain't always gonna be in the NBA. So, you know, he's gonna have a window at some point. The Brooklyn Nets are not always going to be there. So I was like, all right, I was getting used to the idea, like, you know, he's going to get there. But I think for the most part, that is what the Phoenix Suns allowed the Bucks to do, where they actually didn't use their full potential, even though they did get injured as well with Dario Saric. But again, like I told you, like I told the guys, it's not like Sarge played that much rotation minutes that he was going to be extremely impactful for them, like on defense or offense. You get what I mean? So yeah. I don't know what you think about it.
Chris Middleton after the last two games versus the Hawks and moving to the finals, he just, like you said, he's kept it going. You know, usually Chris Middleton is like either a good game or a bad game, but it's not always consistent in the past but he has been consistent. The last two games of the Hawks going to the finals, he stayed consistent. Giannis is one of the players also who was like you said, the last game, he played so well. He was a professional, series. Like hit his free throws. That it shows me that it's a guy who understands that we're there and we're gonna win this thing. Like they took it away from the Suns.
The word that I used in the group chat to describe him during that game was clutch. He was clutch.
And
one of his yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I was just adding to it.
Yeah, in one of his press conferences, he said, "We have great closers on this team. We have Chris Middleton, we have Drew Holiday, and we have myself." When he said he was a closer, I was like, "Whoa, yo, wait, what?" Giannis, he called himself that. So I'm just looking at a player that just has the utmost confidence in himself, man. When you see the videos of him talking about his free throws, and he's like, "Man, I shot air balls. I shot bad shots. I shot 2 air balls in a row on free throws, on threes. Ain't nowhere to go but up from here, man." I'm just seeing a guy, man, like, yo, how could you not like this guy, man? Like, this guy just works, keeps working, works, and keeps on working. And what he did in those final 3 games is just, it's just extremely impressive. He was clutch. He showed some bags that people probably didn't know that he had, shooting the one-legged fadeaways, like, you know, jump hooks. It wasn't all dunks. He did it in a multitude of ways, man, on defense. And the closeout performance where he shoots 17 from 19 from the free throw line and says, like, dude, I'm like, you guys are going to foul me and ain't nothing that you could do about it. I'm just going to keep attacking you. It's not like a person that shall not be named that refuses to be aggressive and refuses to go to the free throw line, you know, because he's afraid of missing his free throws. Giannis knows that he's not the best free throw shooter, but you know what? He's going to attack you. He's not going to shy away. Foul me. Like, and he's going to get it done, man. It was so impressive. It was a legendary performance. Deserved finals MVP. I thought Chris Middleton was probably going to take him home in a close game because I thought the game was going to be ugly, and it was at first. But Giannis just showed out, man, and he just made it clear to him, like, dude, I am alpha. I'm Batman. Chris Middleton
Yeah,
is
they were
Robin.
talking about that Robin thing. He's like, I'll take it back. I'm here to stay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
While you were talking about that press conference, when he was talking about the press conference in the game 7, if I'm not mistaken, um, actually before we go that, I'm not sure if you got more to add on to that final,
no,
and
go ahead.
okay. I was gonna ask you like the question about like, do you think that they can become a dynasty?
So I was looking at their roster, right? For because I knew this question was coming up.
Mhm.
So Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Giannis are at minimum there together for at least another 3 years. At minimum. That's like solidified. I think Chris Middleton has a player option for 23, 24, if I'm not mistaken. So they're there for 3 years at minimum. I'm 100% sure Bobby Portis will opt out of his player option because he deserves a bigger deal at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Their
He's a
salary cap
champion.
their salary cap isn't that high, honestly, when I'm looking at it. Like, I guess when Giannis contract, like, the big bucks finally kicks in, like, next year, that's when, their salary cap is going to increase. But Chris Middleton was making 33 million this year. Giannis was making 29, I believe, 28 or 29. Drew was making 32. And afterwards, everybody else, I think Brook Lopez is the next one at 12 million. So Brook is there for another 2 years minimum. Bobby Portis it will opt out, so they have to think about him. They have to actually re-sign PJ Tucker, but PJ Tucker's 36. Dante DiVincenzo, which is a big piece that they were missing, I think would have made a lot of things easier for them, in that final playoff stretch. He's gonna get a rookie extension. So as of right now, I'm going to say no, because there's a lot of factors that they have to think of, and I'm not the most confident in their GM, even though he finally made the smart decision to move away from Eric Bledsoe and they were able to get the god that is Drew Holiday. But I'm not confident that their GM could retool that roster in a way to potentially make them consistently,
Like
a
year by.
finals contender. Like to be a finals contender for me, like you have to get to the NBA finals, not just the conference finals. You got to get to the NBA finals. So, so I don't think so. They still have Giannis and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday for 3 more years guaranteed. So that's the core right there. And if they progressively get better, where, defensively, they're still going to be nightmare for, like, because them three, they could guard so well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Eastern Conference, but I'm just not confident in their GM. So as of right now, I'm going to say no.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like we're gonna stay in the NBA kind of world, but we're gonna transition a little bit. You were talking about the press conference. I'm not sure if you saw that video when they were asking Giannis a question, and it was Rachel, and then he was like, "Wait," and he looked in the back, and I thought it was funny, and then because they had like that, they cut it with the other video of when like that video that say, "Wait, I know it's not who I think it is." Yeah. So it was funny. It's not so much of a funny topic that we're gonna talk about.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not. Was it really Rachel that was asking that question to Giannis?
Yeah, it was
Nichols?
Rachel. Yeah, Rachel.
Okay.
It was her time. It was her turn to ask a question, and Giannis
Yeah.
was looking for her. I was like, "Yo, I can't see you."
You know that video about the guy with the white face mask all doing the top of the stadium, and then it zoomed in on him, and there was like Rachel looking at the
Oh yeah.
It was so hilarious. But
Look at him.
the question I have for you, yeah. So Mario moved on to NBC. That the original. You remember the leak that happened between Rachel and her. Maria Taylor. Sorry for not saying the last name. And to go back to that It was a couple. The leak was about like the Rachel. It was supposed to be off, like with not on
Yeah,
off record,
not off
and
record.
yeah, and Rachel was kind of like, well, let's say not so much criticizing her, but criticizing that for the lack of how would I say it, the lack of diversity that
Yeah.
they picked Maria for the finals,
Hmm.
and she basically kind of like we're saying that let's not make it about me, like
Yeah, don't come from my job.
yeah,
Don't come from my job because you messed up.
you
You know
messed
what I
up.
mean?
So
Yeah.
it got out. It wasn't that pretty. A lot of controversy about it, but how do you feel about Mara moving to NBC? What's the future for ESPN?
Um. So again, like I feel like ESPN flops a lot of bags when it comes to diversifying their shows, right? Get Up. Get Up is I don't even want to say Get Up is successful now. It's just the fact that Get Up just operates a slot, right? When Get Up
Yeah,
started, Get Up was supposed to be this ginormous show, man. Like, it was supposed to be the next First Take, and then after a couple months when it started during that summer, I think Get Up started in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, or 2019. Um, During that summer, when the ratings were just so bad, they started have to get Stephen A. Smith to start leaking in, even like it's like, oh no, yo, we know uh First Take starts at 10 a.m. Yo, we need you to come in at 9. Like, we need you on the show from or 9:30 to leaking into First Take at 10 a.m. because
mhm.
they were just not getting the numbers and people were not attracted to that group. And they've broken up certain shows to actually start other shows with Greeny, um, Pablo Torre, and they didn't agree with the other guy Stugatz, and the other guy that I forgot the name of their show, but they were based in Miami. So ESPN has a bad track record when they have some staple shows, because outside of like First Take and like I think what's Rachel's show again?
Isn't it the
The
Get Up?
Jump.
Oh, the Jump.
The
Sorry, the
Jump.
Jump. The Jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside of those two shows in Sports Center, of course, and SVP, who's at like SVP's at like 11 at night, 12 midnight, or whatever it is. If they don't operate a certain time slot, they're not successful. It's just like, yo, they just need something to be on because it's a 24-hour sports network. They
Yeah.
just need something to be on. And that's why Get Up is still relevant. Nobody watches Get Up. Like, who watches that stuff, man? Like, nobody cares about it. Like, we'll just watch the clips of, Kendrick Perkins doing, saying some dumb stuff on YouTube. But who brought some energy to that show and some fresh life was Maria Taylor, man. It was Maria Taylor. People would want to watch Maria Taylor because she knows what she's talking about. She's vibrant, and she knows basketball. She knows football. She knows a multitude of sports, and she knows what she's talking about. Sorry,
Bless you.
but now you have this leak that happens with Rachel, where she's just talking about that you guys mess up in the minority, in the diversity department, but you want to come from my job. And what I would say in that instance is that, can't you guys all share that space in the NBA Finals? Can't you guys just rotate hosts? Like,
It's
what's
not
the
that
problem
hard.
with that?
There's 7
What's
games.
Sorry.
Bless you.
What's the problem with that, Rachel? Like, you get what I mean? So I think to a certain extent, that's where people really, really, really felt some type of way about her saying that, like, yo, don't come from my job because you messed up. And like, she said it in the clip. No disrespect to Maria Taylor, but we feel the disrespect, Richie.
Yeah.
We feel it. Why can't there be space for her? Like, why can't you just say like, yo, man, I've done the finals 10 years in a row. She could host the finals.
She could, yeah.
She could host the finals one time. And they give you the sideline reporter gig, but you feel too high and mighty to do the sideline reporter. But you're still asking questions for ESPN at the press conference. Like, what's the big issue? Like, that's what I don't get. Like, you're still in the press conference. Malika Andrews is a sideline reporter, but she's still at the press conference afterwards too, asking questions. Just the same place that you're at. So what is the big difference that you don't want to do the sideline reporting? You just did the sideline reporting for the conference finals. What's the big issue? So that's where I'm taking issue with what Rachel said. And it was just like, it was so disappointing to see. And it was like, and here, even though it was locker room talk, because, she was just letting her emotions out because she felt upset. And it wasn't supposed to be recorded, but it was. And we know now. We know how you feel. So
yeah, like
it just comes off as bad.
Yeah. It was a little bit messy.
Yeah.
We're still in the NBA. One more topic in the NBA, then we're gonna move to tennis. To Naomi Osaka. But staying in the NBA, going to Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard. I'm gonna keep it short, man. What's gonna happen, man? Like,
I don't know if they can move Dame, man. I don't know if they can move Dame. I think Dame ends up staying in Portland. I think Portland retools that roster. I think that's what
around him.
Around him. I think they retool that roster. I think Nurkic moves on. I think CJ McCollum moves on. I think Norman Powell stays. I swear to God, I always forget the 6'8" guy's name. From Philly, from Minnesota.
You said it. You know what's funny? You said the same thing last pod. And we still don't have the name.
I always forget his name, man. He must not be that good. He must not be that great. But I think that's what they do. Because I think they still have hope in Anthony Simons. So if they have to get like another combo guard and type of like, CJ McCollum, and they've developed CJ McCollum, I think they believe that they could do that as well with Anthony Simons. So I think that's what happens with Portland. They retool the roster instead of finding a trade for Damian Lillard.
Like, now, who do you bring in? Who will complement that squad with Damian Lillard?
For one, I think it's a bigger guard at that spot, a guy that could put the ball on the floor and could actually knock down threes and defend. So that's a very limited pool of players, but it's a very limited pool of players. But I don't know. You kind of have to take a look at Washington at that point. You got to look at if you're able to acquire a guy like no, bro, come on, Bradley Beal. You got to look if you could. Yeah, you got to look if you could acquire a guy like Bradley Beal. Is Ben Simmons attractive enough for you? Maybe if you could figure out some more like, another person at center, maybe to bring in to replace Nurk, that could be more mobile. But I think that's where you kind of start, searching. You look at Dallas with Tim Hardaway Jr., with what's his name, Dorian Finney-Smith, those guys. I think those are three teams that you're kind of looking at. You're looking at Dallas, you're looking at Washington, and you're looking at Philly for those players specifically.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll see what happens. Like they said, there's a lot of rumors. They got Damian Lillard going to the Lakers, to the Heat. Those are the two teams that I've seen so far. They talked about also like the Knicks, but I don't really see the Knicks pulling that trigger because like in order for you to have Damian Lillard, you have to give the whole squad.
Yep.
And I saw a lot of people were mad about Stephen A saying that they got to give Rendo, they got to give Barrett, they got to give this. Bro, we got to give the whole squad to get him. Like people are saying, how could you say that? Yo, come on, man, cut some slack. We got to give the whole squad for this, and it's not gonna happen. So I see a scenario now. Like at last pod, I did say that I see Damian Lillard leaving, but I see him staying, and then they're retooling about like you said.
Yeah. The only other team that I would say that could potentially like he could get traded to is the Clippers because of the resurgence of Reggie Jackson.
And
So
then who leaves?
that's
Paul
the
George and
question.
Kawhi stays, right?
That I'm pretty sure they would try their damn hardest to do it.
Well,
um,
you gotta
like
give
yeah,
us.
I'm pretty sure they try their damn hardest to do it. But if I mean, I would look at it like they'd try the damn hardest, but I was like, Reggie Jackson, Serge Ibaka, Nick Batum, um, and then I don't know, add on a Patrick Beverly, and so like 5 draft picks, 5 first rounders. But the other
Yeah.
thing is that the Clippers have no more,
Do they
no
even?
more
I was
draft
gonna say,
picks.
do they even have
Yeah,
picks?
yeah, that's the only thing. So like in that scenario, I think they would probably have to include Paul George, but
Mhm.
Kawhi is injured. We don't know how long he's going to be out for, so I don't know if that works either.
Probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Last topic of the day. The documentary of Naomi Osaka. Kind of the documentary is actually good because what I was looking for into that documentary is getting to know Naomi Osaka, the Japanese Haitian tennis player, young. She's really young. The documentary, I feel like it. I wanted to know more about her. I feel like if I would put a critics on it, I would say I wanted to know Naomi better, not the
Mm-hmm.
tennis player, but who are you? Like, what do you like to do? What's
Okay.
bothering you? Stuff like that. That's what I was looking for. But she kind of gave us the idea of who she is. She said she was homeschooled with her sister, so her sister was her friend for the longest until she had to become a professional and move away from her sister and like going everywhere, like practicing, going to competition in England, competition in France, and the U.S. Open in New York. And so she kind of stepped away. And then she's not only like she was homeschooled, so she didn't really grow up having a lot of friends, the way she
Right.
explained in the documentary. So my question for you, Mike, a young player like Naomi Osaka, um, when it was I can't remember which competition it was. Was it the Wimbledon when they said that no,
Yeah, it
it was
was at the.
Australian Open. I think it was the Australian Open.
You
Either
think
one
so?
of these.
Wasn't it the French one?
Oh, Roland Garros. It was the Roland
Yeah.
Garros. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. You're right. Spot on. She said she wanted to skip press conferences after the game or before the game due to mental illness. But these organization, it's part of your contract to do so. And the ATP or even other organization, Mike. But since we're talking about Naomi Osaka, I'm more concentrating in the ATP. Do you think these organizations should take more consideration about that aspect? Because a young player like that saying this, and then knowing now Naomi Osaka the way she is, and then like overnight she became a superstar. So she went from this to a lot of people coming around her,
Right.
endorsement,
Right.
everything. So a player saying this, do you think the ATP, the organization of tennis, should take it more in consideration, especially for young players who still finding themselves in those shoes?
100%, man. 100%. Um, it's funny because like you don't. I don't think there's any amount of training and coaching to prepare you for that type of stuff, for that type of attention. If you're not somebody that's mentally strong and athletes, like if you want to perform at a high level, you have to be mentally strong for sure, but it's not in that aspect. It's not dealing with like media and it's media and social media and a whole bunch of people coming at you all types of in every angle and all types of sideways. So yeah, like what she said at some point too was, when people are sick at their job, they're allowed to call out sick or something like in that vein. And she's absolutely right in like in terms of that, like if I'm not feeling well, why can't I just skip the press conference? You know, that's why a lot of us are mad about with Kyrie Irving sometimes, right? Like, this dude is always taking a mental health day. You get what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, like, he knows what's right for him. Like, if he knows, like, yo, he has to do this at a high level and compete at a high level and extend his career to, you know, 30 plus years of age, he has to, like, yo, remove himself from, you know, from media, from the game for a few days out of the month, then that's what you do, man. And you know, because that's what's better for you. Don't kill yourself at the expense of others. So she felt that way. Yes, the organizations should, you know, look towards that. Like, you know, because the world has changed. Like, everything is more intense. Like, we have less hours to play with because everything is just, like, you know, constantly moving now. And it's not everywhere that actually respects that balance of life, man. Like, you get what I mean? So I think, yeah, for her, for the, you know, the ATP, and for those different French competition, well, not French competition, for different tennis competitions, like, for the media, when the player says, like, hey, respectfully, when she said it in advance as well,
she's like, hey, I'm letting you guys know I won't be able to participate in the press conference because of mental health. She did say, like, before.
You know, and she just wants to focus, and she just wants to go out there, like I was telling you about. Like, you know, you have to be mentally strong. So she wants to be mentally strong in where she has to be mentally strong, in the game aspect. What she wants to, what she's there to do. She's there to compete and compete at a high level. So if she wants to focus on that, then that's what she's actually doing. So if she wants to miss out, the only thing I would say is maybe, like, you know, try to find a compromise. Maybe not the entire tournament, because at some point, like, you know, we, you know, not even her fans, just, you know, sports journalists, like, just give some type of access.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe there could be a compromise there, not the entire tournament, and you say, like, yo, I'll speak to you at the end of the tournament. Well, can we speak to you at the semis? Can we speak to you at, you know, before the finals? Just so that we could get, you know, a gauge of, like, you know, what you did in certain matchups or anything like that, what got you there. Maybe there could be a compromise there, but of course, absolutely, you're 100% right. They should rethink this, because it's a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a lot for athletes to deal with, not only the sports, but their families, fans, and media at the same time. So it's a lot.
And yeah, it's really a lot. And then going towards the lot, I remember when Naomi Osaka won her first U.S. Open against Serena Williams, and it was a tough one for her, because not only that, it was like, I just beat my idol, and then it was a tough game for her as well, because a lot of things happened, and she went on a streak after that, a losing streak, and she was still young. And I was looking at the documentary, and it almost like it was getting into her, and it was kind of difficult for the trainer or parents just to, like, they want her to let it out, like, how are you feeling about it? But I don't know Naomi Osaka, but from the documentary, it looks like Naomi Osaka she looks like a type of person that is more into herself first. Like, she's not gonna be the person who just took a L and then come right there, be like, hey, Mike, like, say you're my trainer, be like, hey, Mike, this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm giving you all my emotions right now. It feels like she's like someone who takes time to tell you her emotions. Like, it might take 2-3 weeks. She went on a losing streak, and I'm just thinking about, like, I'm not an athlete, but, like, you play basketball. You go on in, like, a 5-10 losing streak game or something like that. What's going through your head? And if you're a young age, what is going through your head at that time? Are you thinking that I might not be that person, especially I just won a U.S. Open versus one of the best tennis players that ever played a game?
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, you kind of, like, I think from her, for her, like, she probably had, like, imposter syndrome. She probably started thinking that maybe I'm not that good. Maybe it was just a fluke. Serena is getting older. Maybe it was just this, this one time thing that I got lucky with. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just start getting in your head, and you start, the things that are natural to you, like you think things that you do on instinct, they start being mechanical. Like you start questioning every decision, and I'm like, I don't know. I haven't played tennis really, but I know for myself, for like basketball, and I would say like to even soccer, like those are games of instincts, man. Like, you have to
Mhm.
have great instincts, and you have to have like, great flow um to it. I don't know about tennis, but when you start having to actually really be cerebral about how you approach the game, like, okay, like, I get the ball on the wing. It's like, like, am I gonna go left? Am I gonna go right?
Mhm.
Like, it's like, no, it's like, dude, I'm gonna go do a couple jab steps. I'm gonna get in my motion, and I'm gonna see where he's leaning. I'm gonna see where he's moving, like, and then I'm gonna attack him. But then if I start thinking, it's like, yo, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna jab right, so he's gonna go right with me, and I'm gonna go left. But I
And
jab
I'm gonna
right,
go dunk that like
yeah. But
Ja
I
Morant.
jab right, I jab right, and he doesn't move. He just stays in his stance, and I'm like, oh damn, like what do I do next? So you start really, like, really overthinking everything, man, and it could be taken off the court, off the field, to back home, where you really start thinking about everything about the game, and then that starts affecting your relationships, outside of, the game as well. So, a lot of, I feel like, for me, especially when I was growing up, like they always used to tell me, it's like, dude, the game is the game. You leave it out. You leave it on the court, bro. Whatever happens on the court, just leave it on the court.
Stays on
Just
the
don't,
court.
like,
Yeah.
just don't bring that baggage with you out of there. So, some people could do both. Like, those mega athletes, like those mega superstars, like, they're able to actually live with that, and use it as some type of fuel, like a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan. They probably thought about every loss that they've ever had,
Yeah.
and then, kind of used it as fuel. But if you're losing constantly, and you're not that type of person where you internalize everything, and like you said, like Naomi, you don't really share your feelings with everybody and how you feel, and you don't communicate that because that's not the person that she is, probably. It takes a toll, man. It takes a toll. So you have to figure out a different way of approaching it, and the media has a lot to do with that.
Yeah. And she did a great turnaround, and she ended up winning 4 Grand Slams. So she won three. She won three after that U.S. Open. After that moment that they were talking about, maybe it's a fluke. She went on and win three, and then she became the best woman tennis player. And I think I'm not sure if it's still the same, but she became also the best paid athlete woman at that time
Okay.
when I was reading. I'm not sure if it's still the same, but so she did a great turnaround. I think she used it at few. She also talked about a lot about Kobe Bryant, all the advices Kobe Bryant gave her. I feel like she added everything those together and then ended up winning and became even a better tennis player because she's really talented as well.
Yep.
Mhm. And yeah, it's a great documentary. I recommend people to go watch it, especially if you want to get to know Naomi Osaka, and also if you want to understand her path, where she came from, um, or her parents, like where they came from, her culture, and her ties with the Haiti and Japan, how she manages both, how she manages her life, her sister, her boyfriend, everything connected. So if you want to get to know a little bit more about Naomi Osaka, it's on Netflix. It's a great, 3 episodes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna finish watching it.
Yeah. You know what I didn't realize, Mike, today? I did not even introduce you. I did not say Mr. Wetz is an ally. I didn't even
uh,
say anything. So much
don't
for
matter.
introduction. Changed
You know,
today.
you you know you
They
know
know
my
better.
name.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know
okay.
my
Yeah.
name.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good one. I appreciate it coming in today, Mike, to Allen Sports.
No
Mr.
problem, bro.
West was in there. It's not too late to do the introduction. Thank you very much again. Anything you want to add on before we leave?
That's it, man. Appreciate you for having me, bro. As always, love talking sports with you, man.
It was good. It was good. Thank you again. Thank you guys. Tune in. Thank you again for everyone else tuned in. See you guys next time.